Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Mike.
Dylan, you know what?
What, Mike?
The honey badger does not give a shit.
Wow.
When the honey badger sits down to make a game, the honey badger does not give a shit about how much code the honey badger should be writing.
Well,
The honey badger does not give a shit about inventing its own physics engine. The honey badger does not give a shit about whether it needs to write its own 3D lighting routines.
does it care that this meme has finally invaded the advertisement portion of our podcast? Like,
No, the honey badger
does
does
that
not
not
give a
suggest
shit.
that maybe the honey badger has a problem and needs help?
The honey badger does not give a shit about your diagnosis of the honey badger.
12-step program?
Honey badger does not give a shit about a 12-step program. The honey badger does not, repeat, the honey badger does not give a shit. When the honey badger is going to go get a game, the honey badger focuses on the game. The game and making the game fun and entertaining the honey badger. The honey badger does not obsess over whether the honey badger is awesome because the honey badger wrote everything. Because the honey badger doesn't give a shit. Because nobody gives a shit. That's the truth. Nobody will ever ding your game or give you a good rating on your game because you wrote the framework yourself. If you go in and write your entire engine, it will not show up in a single review. Oh, but this game wrote its entire engine, therefore I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 stars.
And in fact, there have been a lot of games that we've talked about that have had not just the underlying game engine, but the game mechanics. Like they're an engine in search of a game.
Exactly. There's a popular one out there right now that some guys, you know what? They just decided, gonna make a game. Not gonna sweat the looks. Doing quite successfully. If you've seen it on the charts, and you haven't looked at the charts if you haven't seen it, the $1 zombie game is a Sunburn engine game. So those guys decided, you know what? We got an idea for a fun little game. We're not gonna stress on the details. We're gonna grab the Sunburn engine. It's gonna look nice. We're gonna be done. We don't give a shit about the details of that engine. We're just going to make a game. Just make the game. I think that's my point here.
Are you going back to the honey badger at all?
I could.
Or is that just
I can give you
its course?
I can give you like the groundhog version of the honey badger. I can have the honey badger come up, and if the honey badger sees its shadow or not, it doesn't give a shit. We can get 30 more seconds of the honey badger.
Oh.
We ought to have the honey badger replace Punxsutawney Phil. Like, what's weather going to be? Honey badger doesn't give a shit.
There's going to be weather.
Fuck you and your weather. That's the honey badger.
There's going to be weather, unless there's not.
So, if you want to not give a shit like the honey badger, go out and get the Sunburn gaming engine from synapsegaming.com, the official gaming engine of the honey badger. May not actually be the official gaming engine of the honey badger.
I'm pretty sure someone else owns that meme.
Welcome everyone to the show. We are, the crew is in the house. Hello, Dylan.
Hi.
Cicely.
Hello.
But we are Sans guest. This is the first week since we appointed my brother into handling some of the back-end details up for the crew that we are without a guest, and not for lack of trying. He was on it. I think we had conversations with 4 developers. Kind of felt there at the last moment, but you know what I said? I kind of miss having our own podcast, like to be able to discuss some of our own. Like we have a guest, we have to get in and interview the guests, and then these always feel a little bit more laid back and relaxed, as opposed to having a guest. And you got to prepare for the guest. You got to try to like read their blogs, get some ideas of conversation and questions. So I just wanted to softball pitch. Just throw it in. I can queue up some news items that I read through the week, and we'll cover our new games. But do something we haven't done in a while, because I'm always introducing the guests a while. Dylan, what's been going on with you lately? What are you playing? Games of any kind? What's in the world of Dylan?
I actually picked up Bastion because it was on sale on Steam. So,
Oh yeah. Now see, I looked at that and I had jumped in the Humble Bundle and kind of blew my budgeting dollars, and I was like, wait, Bastion will come back around again on sale. So what do you think of it?
it's pretty good. I mean, I honestly don't play a lot of small games. Like I'll I got into Oblivion. I got into Fallout. I will probably get into Skyrim. I tried to get into Red Dead Redemption, and I just got real busy. But those are the type of games I tend to get into. So Bastion is kind of like, yeah, I'll give this a shot. So, I actually like it, and I like the narration style that they use.
Yeah, that's really why I wanted to check out this game, because I've heard a lot of things about that, of like, it's narrating on the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the hero
And now you're swinging a sword.
swings a sword, and then he walked back into the room, and then he left the room, and
It's not quite like that. I mean, you can tell it seems to be done intelligently, where there seem to be decision, and I've played maybe 30 minutes of this game at this point, so I'm not really qualified.
well, we're not giving a review on it, no.
to talk about how the system works.
Plenty of
It
sites
seems
out
like
there
it
that gave it
just,
glowing
like,
reviews.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying it. It's not too difficult. I'm not like one of these hardcore gamers, but I've actually been enjoying it. Like I said, hopefully I'll get around to playing some more of it this weekend. Also, I've been kind of playing around with, because I've got an Android tablet. I've been just going forward game development wise. I've started downloading a couple like RPG adventure style games just to kind of see what can we do if, you know, worst comes to worst with XNA. You know,
What's out there? What are people doing on the tablet platform?
Yeah.
What's working? What's not? You know, that's an important step that I think a lot of developers, indie developers, I don't think professionals have an issue with this.
Yeah.
I think the indie developer scene has with like, I don't want to play a bunch out there because I don't want to be tainted by like what's going out there. It's like, no, you need to like figure out what's going on, what's working.
And it's really important on the mobile end, because I think as people who grew up playing Nintendo and, you know, console games, I tend to assume that games work a certain way. Like, you know, you kind of take for granted the controller and all that. When you get into the console world, things don't work as smoothly. There are a lot of different options, and it's not that I want to say one option is better than the other. I just want to be able to play it and kind of deconstruct what they're doing and what works in a mobile game or doesn't work in a mobile game, that I would, you know, wouldn't think about with a console game. It's interesting because, especially picking up, you know, RPGs and adventure games, you can't, you know, it's not like a Angry Birds or Fruit Ninja or whatever, where it's tapping and swiping. You have to deal with the fact that there's not, you're not guaranteed a lot of precision. So
you gotta to change it up. Now I think the style that you go into the JRPG, you could probably sit down and think of a clever way of doing the menus, the combat for the touch interface, and probably come up with pretty good. I haven't grabbed anything out there. In fact, this week, I was saying before the show started, now that we got the sites up in Azure, I had a very busy weekend, a lot of things going on at once, Halloween stuff, and then Jasmine and baptism, and all that was going on. But Sunday, actually around 5 o'clock, I think everybody had cleared out, the house was quiet, everybody's kind of worn out and chilling out, and I could come downstairs to the computer, and I sat down, and it's like, I don't have a project bearing down on me at the moment. I have things that I've been wanting to do, but I don't have an under-the-gun time project like the port to Azure was. Like, you know, every hour that I don't work on that, I'm an hour behind, and that site's not up yet.
Is not down yet.
Yeah, exactly.
How's the volume?
Why? Why? Somebody say something about the volume, or are you just asking generally?
Which one of us is the problem?
General, I think.
Too high, too low?
The levels look good going out and everything, so try the speaker knob. I mean they are. They're peaking. Like all the meters are peaking.
That's what
Flash
I thought.
meter.
I saw
yeah.
enough of red, and I was. We are recording, correct?
Yeah, we're recording.
Yay.
So this is the first time that I really don't have a project bearing down. And like what I'm going to do is like, well, I want to think about that for a little bit, like before just jumping into, because I need, you know, like I don't have something to do. Let me jump into something. I'm like, let me mull around some of the projects that I've got started and figure out which one of those I want to be the next focus.
Yeah.
Which I came back around and settled on Captain Dubstep again. But I mean, I had a couple other games that I've started and then that are in various states. So I was like, do I want to go back to these? You know, do I want to open this one back up? There's some that are just, you know, design docs. Like, you know, I considered like our rock, paper, scissors fighting game. Like I was like, that might be fun just to crank out in a week. So to do that, I was like, well, you know what? I got all these Steam games. So let me crack open a Steam game and play a game, and I grabbed Cthulhu Saves the World, because I have never actually played that. You reviewed it, and Cicely played it, and I kind of stayed off of it, you know, and, you know, tracked it fairly well, but actually haven't sat down and played much more than, like, launching the game or playing a trial. And so, and I got it on Steam, and started playing through it and turned on the developer comments, and about 30 minutes in, I realized, oh, fuck yeah, that's right. I don't like JRPGs. And this is still a JRPG, you know, like, no amount of humor or something is going to get me interested in tedious menu-based combat, or at least I see it as tedious-based menu combat, which it wasn't too bad. And because I turned on developer commentary in the Steam edition, I could play basically for the next developer commentary bit, but I think after an hour and a half, I don't know if I'll continue or not.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Steam is that you're like cloud saved or whatever. I hope the game is cloud saved, because I like uninstalled it. I was like, well, I'm cloud saved Steam, so I should have checked that first. It's probably a per game.
Okay, you spent 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, well, about an hour and a half.
Oh, wait, okay. You said you didn't like it after 30 minutes.
After about 30 minutes, I realized I wasn't liking it, and I went through a couple caves, and was coming out on the other side of the caves, and then it was like, yeah, I'm really not willing to start a whole dialogue thing happening and all of that.
Yeah. Well, and there again, that's one of the things and this is probably going to become a series of posts once we relaunch and kind of do more developer-based, developer-focused stuff, is as I was, you know, as I've only really played, you know, spent some time with one of those tablet games, but I've played 2 or 3 more.
Right.
And just playing them and coming at it from a perspective of, for one thing, someone who's been reviewing games for a year and has seen a lot of games, a lot of trials.
I'm cranking it up on those guys, so...
But anyway, like, I go back and I look at some of the adventure games or RPGs that I've played quite a bit of, and I kind of have, like, Zelda and Secret, you know, the original Zelda and Link to the Past and Secret of Mana is kind of like the good examples, which that's probably bad in my case, because that's filtered heavily through the lens of nostalgia. And I've got games like Diablo and World of Warcraft that I enjoyed playing for a while but got burnt out on. And it's interesting being able to take a game and not go like, this is good or this is bad, but just like, this is what this game did versus this is what this game did. And it's subjective as to whether you like it. And, you know, JRPGs kind of fit that.
Yeah, it is. So, Cicely, because nobody gives a flying fuck about your iPad games, give us the Minecraft update, since you've been playing a lot of that. Are we Minecraft launch, or is it still
14 days till Minecraft launch.
So what do we have? I know we're partway into the adventure update, and the last time I checked it out, you could do experience. Are we able to do anything?
Experience is not calculated yet.
So it just goes up and resets, but it's not leveling up, and you're not...
And some of the awardments don't actually track every time you load them back in. It's like, oh, you made cake. Oh, you didn't make cake. You need to make cake. Oh, you made cake. Oh, you need to make cake. Oh, that
just sounds like a bug. That doesn't sound like it was intended.
Not like you got halfway through with a feature and then...
So in 2 weeks is the the final, right? 2 weeks is when they lift off the beta.
Minecraft what?
Minecraft, well, I guess it's 2.0, really, because the version number is 1.8, 1.9.
Minecraft beta 1.8. 1.
Yeah.
8.2. Some people are trying the 1.9 or 9.1, whichever.
1.9.
1.9.
Yeah, there is, like, he started putting up, like, the next version. Like, there's a way to manually update your client.
Just go to the Minecraft wiki, and there is a link to it from there.
So,
and you can talk about your iPad games, too.
No,
not on this podcast. Like, seriously, like, the listeners, the audience of this...
I'm not saying we can't...
Do not give a shit about Farmville and Farmville clones, and Zooville, and... Restaurantville and Villeville and
it's busy work.
Yeah. So
it's really not funny to point that out anymore because we do it every time it comes out.
Well, I think it was just worthy of mentioning because I mean the podcast started 30 seconds in, bang, iPad.
The audience gives a shit.
Klingerman gives a shit.
Wait, are you just being dismissive?
If Jim Perry chimes in and give a shit, we'll do an update.
Klingerman cares, but Honey Badger doesn't give crap about Klingerman.
Klingerman loves everything. Klingerman is happy, cheery, guy. But or indie gamer chick. You know, if we get a second chime in that somebody actually wants to hear about Cicely's iPad games, this is a live poll to the viewing audience.
Now it's just a challenge.
Text 801-5037 to vote for, American Idol.
Gets talked about? Sure.
No. Jim Perry has said no. See, there's things I can count on in this universe. And thread locked. iPad game thread has been locked. Speaking of news, hey, check out Chris Steele, Hypership fame developer, Hypership Out of Control, not the Hypership in Control, but the out of control Hyperships. He posted a pretty good breakdown of what his game has done on various platforms, and the platforms he's put it up for have been Xbox Live Indie Games, Windows Phone 7, and iOS. I'm just gonna ruin the spoiler for everybody, and the iOS killing it, kicking crazy ass.
By how much is my question?
So, couple different ways to look at this. Now, profit on Xbox Live Indie Games, $1,100. We'll come back to Windows Phone. Profit on iOS, $2,300. So a little bit more than double. But you really have to take in the fact that it's been on the Xbox Live Indie Game service for 411 days. It's been on iOS for 46 days.
Did you say Android was in there?
No, Android is not in here. Windows Phone 7 is in here. Windows Phone 7 for 158 days of sales is $18.20.
Now, did he do all
his ad version?
Okay.
He did an ad-supported version on Windows Phone 7 that did another $39, another $40.
Wow.
So
when Xbox Live Indie Games beats your platform,
that's the big takeaway for me. All this the phone is number one and the phone is like. Your Xbox Live Indie Games is making you more money than your Windows Phone 7. So, can we have a community manager now, please? ICANN has community manager, please.
Well, you take 30% of that, you do the math and figure out what Microsoft gets off of that, and that's probably quarter of a
whatever you get
salary?
off of $18.20 is shit. Okay, whatever bit you get off.
I meant the Xbox Live Indie Games.
Oh, the Xbox Live Indie Games. That's his profits. Those are his profit lines. So that's post Microsoft's cut there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could take that and figure out how much Microsoft is getting off of it.
So the eye opener here is not that hey, iOS is making more. We know that. It's not that Xbox Live Indie Games is nothing to retire on. We know that one.
Yeah.
Unless you make a Minecraft clone, but it's that the Windows Phone 7 is so abysmally poor that they're not making any money over on that side.
It's not even worth it porting it from an existing XNA platform.
Now, again, they got the Nokia phones coming out. They look sleek. I admit I saw the Nokia new phone models. They're not available in the US yet. I don't think I have a date. They look sleek, but they're coming out in like January or February or something. And it's like, you can't do that, dude. You can't miss Christmas. It's fucking Christmas. Have you seen a retail calendar? Do you, as somebody in Microsoft, do they understand seasonality? Do they know what a seasonality curve is? It's pretty a big deal in retail. Plus, you have all of these guys like me, who jumped on, who like held off of like, I'm not getting an iPhone, I'm going to get a Droid. And we all jumped in on V1 Droids. Guess when we did that? This time of the year, and we're all coming up on 2-year contracts. So now is the time when I can choose to, get a new Droid or get an iPhone or go to a Windows Phone 7. And knowing that the models out right now are kind of DOA at the moment because there's going to be something better come around the corner from Nokia.
You're not inclined to go for a Windows Phone.
Yeah. At the same time, it's not like I get a discount from Verizon for going off contract. It's not like the subsidizing of my phone ends and I'll all of a sudden start paying less until I decide to opt for a new phone. So it kind of feels like if I'm wasting money now, it's like, no, I can get my new phone and still pay the same amount. But I'm going to get an iPhone anyway because I want to tell Siri to call me Batman. You can totally do that. You could say, Siri, call me Batman. And it'll say, hello,
Siri
Batman.
Will say,
that's the reason you're getting
silly.
That's
one of many.
Okay.
It's one of many. But it's a big one. I'm not going to lie. I just want, Batman, your appointment is in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have it say Bruce Wayne. Maybe I'll have it go back and forth. Mr. Wayne. Commissioner Gordon. That's the other thing. You can give nicknames to your friends. So I could be like, send Commissioner Gordon a message. Tell him, let's meet at the Mexican restaurant. And that can go to you.
I was going to say, like, so Cicely's going to be Commissioner Gordon.
No, I'm Harley Quinn.
I can do Harley Quinn or Catwoman.
So I was going to say, I assume you call
whatever
her
fantasy I want to play out in my head. Like in my little world, I'm talking to Commissioner Gordon and Harvey.
This is how Western civilization ends, isn't it? This is like, spoiler alert, this is
like
happened.
One step away from like the Pixar movie. Pixar movie in space. What was the one with the robot?
Wall-E?
Wall-E. Yeah, where we're just all fat on a chair locked to our screens.
This is
because we don't need contact anymore.
Oh, it's kind of like actually, never mind. I'm not gonna go.
Yes,
I'm gonna divert the podcast if I get into this. So let's just.
So all right, Chris Steele. I'll have a link in the blog notes that you can go down there, and he does a pretty good thing of breaking down, like, because it's not all apples to apples, comparison, because it's like, I did this, I had this, like, these things factored into it, so it's going to be almost next to impossible to do, like, a real absolute comparison.
How long was it on iOS, did you say?
iOS was 46 days.
46 days, okay.
And he did do, so, like, he had 4,000 purchases, 3,300 purchases on there. He did do a 1 day where he made the app free for 1 day, right, and then handed. And on that 1 day that was free, it had 1,200, almost 1,300. I mean 13,000. Excuse me, downloads.
Right.
And he had just done that, so it's too early to measure the effect of. Did that 1 day spike it, get a bunch of good reviews, and now that the sale's over, you're higher in the marketplace, and so even though you gave away 13,000 copies, you upped your daily conversion rate.
I would like to see more of these, because like I said, what I think is probably happening is you're going to get, higher sales on iOS. Period. Than you will on Xbox Live Indie games, but there's still going to be a curve for the top 1% versus the bottom 99%. If we're going to get
exactly
topical, because I am the bottom 99%.
Occupy App Store.
Angry Birds is
so. Wow. More news here. Microsoft Connect. SDK going commercial 2012. I guess it's just a licensing switch or something, but you can take the Connect SDK and now sell a product around it for Windows.
For Windows.
Yes, still fuck over the indie games. They can't touch it. You can't have.
Well, it's a good start.
What have we done with Connect?
Nothing.
Dance Central 3? Dance Central 2? That's what's coming out?
Dance Central.
We've gone a whole fucking year, and the best thing you have to offer is Dance Central 2?
What is it? Kids Dance? Kids Dance 2?
Kids Dance. Yeah.
It's on the Wii, the Move, and the Connect.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're talking about the Let's Dance or something,
Okay.
or the one that was on the platforms with the Move controller and the Wii controller. They didn't do a good job from what I heard, though. They did not really connectify the game. They basically just brought it over, whereas I guess the Dance Central... I'm reporting all this like second, third-hand information. I've never even played Dance Central once.
It looked fun.
Don't you have it?
No.
I have it.
Well,
Okay.
I have multiple copies of it.
oh yeah, just forget about it because we never put it in.
Yeah.
The girls have played it at their mom's house.
Yeah, the girls play at their mom's house. I don't have 15 feet in front of my
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
my living room's area downstairs, so the zone sucks on it. Upstairs, we got it set up for the baby now, and I think there would be enough space if you angled it right upstairs that we could do it, but it just with the baby and the baby toys out and everything like that's never set up. So that's really kind of a drawback for the console. It's like it needs too much space. I hope they can update that in some way that it doesn't need as much space as it does now. But more importantly than that, it needs to be on indie games. I mean,
And it hates me.
it needs stupid little one-off games is what that thing needs, and that's the indie game service.
Yeah, I would imagine though that what'll happen as this the SDK becomes more popular is you'll probably have people go from PC to XBLA, which isn't ideal, but it's something.
Yeah.
I mean, it does open the door for indie developers, even if they're not Xbox Live indie game developers.
Over on Gamasutra, they have a feature that I'll link to in show notes on building a better Kickstarter campaign. So basically, a guy kind of ran through and figured out, like, hey, if I'm going to do a Kickstarter for my game, what works, what doesn't, right? And basically lists out, like, you know, the video, what to show in the video, how to structure things, and there's some good interview clips of people putting in things. Like, one guy's put in $1,000 would get you, they would make like a real cosplay suit or something, armor suit of the hero in the game. And they were like, nobody took that up. So we didn't have to make the suit, and, you know, it'd be crazy, but, you know, we had fun, but nobody took us up on that. However, a lot of sites talked about that.
Yeah.
So by having the crazy high dollar item, you know, like, hey, we will come out and mocap you, or, you know, come out with some like $5,000 crazy ass idea, put it in there. And then, you know, when it goes out, like, a lot more news sites will be like, you know, hey, this indie game over here, they will, you know, build you a cosplay suit or motion cap you and put you in the game or let you record lines of dialogue.
It's almost like and I guess that makes sense to have kind of those crazy high-end items just to
It's kind of like an
spread that
indie
on.
version of product placement.
Well, it almost feels like, you know, like it's the motivational speaker as opposed to the realist. The motivational speaker is going to get up and he's going to be charming and he's going to tell you that you can do things that you'll never actually be able to do. But he's going to make you believe it. And that's why you listen to him.
So you pay for the game because you think somebody's going to get the cosplay suit and you'll get to watch the YouTube video of it?
Well, no, you read it and you think, I could have that cosplay suit, but I can't afford it. So I'll still, you know, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was a nice level to go on Cthulhu Saves the World for names and credits.
Yes, I definitely like that sort of thing. You know, I guess what I'm saying is it shows optimism on the part of the person running the campaign. Like, I really think I can get someone to pay me $1,000 for this.
I'm really.
Even if I don't.
That's true.
But I do.
Well, I think though the point is when you're structuring your campaign to go ahead and throw a few out there.
I got a whole team of guys in this back room.
Yes, the grifters. The grifters. Let me show you my back room. I got smart brain, big computers. Let me show you back here. What I got going on. Did you go like YouTube clip that, or you just remember that?
No, I just remember you. And I know that's a horribly cynical way of looking at it, but I mean that's what people are going to do, I think.
So I thought I read through it, and it's a really excellent article on how to run your thing. So now I got a little bit of a rant here.
I'm just going to sit back now.
Are you gonna
this
sit
is
back?
going to go on for a while.
You're going to sit back. Humble Bundle the Humble Volatrox? Voxatron? I'll go with that. Humble Voxatron debut. Now, the only Humble Bundle that I did not purchase was the Frozen Bite one. Because it felt kind of weird that it was all from one company. You know, it was like, felt kind of markety. It felt kind of, you know, and then also there was like the thing of like, I don't really know Frozen Bite that well. The games aren't games that I had followed or heard of, so I don't know that you guys could really string together that many games. Now, I ended up getting all of their games because they became part of the Humble Bundle, the recent one.
Yeah.
Like the 3, was it? Was it 2 or 3?
I can't even remember. All I know is that...
I think it was 3. I think we just had Humble Bundle number 3, and then Humble Bundle number 3 added all of the Frozen Bite games, and then they added all of 2 or something. Because 2 added all of 1, so this had to be 3. So, you know, I've always gone in there, but that felt a little off. And then this one felt off even more, because Voxatron is not a game that's out. Voxatron is not a complete game. Voxatron is on there telling you it's an alpha. There's a big link on the Humble Bundle site saying, here's what an alpha is. Like, this isn't complete. So this is a marketing promo now more than for charity, because prior to that, the games in the Humble Bundle, most of them, were indie games that had been proven successful. You know, they were Braid, they were World of Goo, these games have gone out, they have been successful, they were by indie shops, and they were like, you know what, we're indies, so now just name what you want and you can have the latest and greatest. And I loved it for 2 reasons. One was, you know, it's this cool indie thing that they're doing, they're giving back. 2, it's kind of like, hey, here's the latest indie games from last year. These are the ones that, you know, people talked about. These are the ones that if you want to play 5, play these 5. And I thought that was a great way for me to catch up. The Voxatron thing, it doesn't fall into any of those, and it feels cheap. And so when they announced it, I was like, no, fuck you. I'm not buying your Voxatron. And it almost feels like Humble Bundle is becoming Games Woot. Now it's going to be like, here's the deal of the next 2 weeks. We're going to put up this game for 2 weeks, and contact us, and we'll market your game.
Coming very quickly.
And they are coming very quickly. Where it was like an annual thing, now it's which, you know, I don't mind if they.
Well, for charity, it seems good. Like, well, yeah, it's raising money for EFF and Child's Play.
But it does seem like it's going to lose some of its power.
Yeah,
not so humble anymore.
It's not so humble anymore, and it's almost like, all right, you're cashing in on like the goodwill and the fame by doing this stuff, and you're going to be able to market a few of these. Now they added to the Voxatron debut, because it wasn't a bundle, it was just fucking one game. They added to that the Binding of Isaac, and something else. I don't know what it was. But the Binding of Isaac was one I looked at on Steam. I'm like, I'm kind of curious to play that. Although I don't, it's a hard as fun. It's a roguelike game. It's a game that's going to beat the shit out of you. But the story was intriguing, you know? So you saw the videos on that one, right?
No, I have not.
That's the kid with the extremely religious nut mother that believes God is telling her to kill her child, Isaac. And so he escapes into the dungeons underneath their house or something. But then it becomes like a Zelda roguelike clone. Right. But I was like, the story is enough that I kind of want to play this. But it's going to be a Super Meat Boy painful experience, and I don't go for those. So when it popped up on the Humble Bundle, I was like, well, okay, now I'm in for it. So I went in the Humble Bundle, and now every time I've gone in, I have like thrown down like $40-$50 because it's like, hey, no, I'm here for the charity, man. Like, let's go. You guys get your money, and I just want everybody to have $10. I just want everybody to have $10. There you go. You know, let's get this in, and do that. This time I went in with $5. I was like, you know what? I'm not really digging what you're doing, so I'm gonna take this because it's pay what you want. Here's your $5. And I took the little slider for the Voxatron company, and I put it to 0 because I'm a dick like that. So I have spoken with my dollars. I do not like what you were doing with that. But if you're gonna do it, then turn it into that. Like, go ahead and say, like, hey, this is a good idea for a service. Woot Games, the Woot of Games. That, you know what? Yeah. Do that. That sounds like a good idea.
You can do it as a charity thing. Like, if you buy from our site, you get, you know, however much off. But
or, you know, pay for what you want is a very successful model with the right marketing push behind it.
Yeah.
If you have...
You don't want to open up too much, but
if you have a following, okay, which the Humble Bundle site does, pay what you want works. If you don't have a following, then it doesn't work as well.
Well, what I find interesting, though, is the charity thing you're talking about. I typically just leave it where it is because I figure, well, okay, that's kind of... I mean, I don't know what the costs involved are, so... You know, what they suggest seems fair, so I, plunk down $15, $20 and go, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as like a value for these games, again, because most of the games have been prior released, you can look up and like Braid was $15 on the Xbox,
But what's interesting though is that it, when you see how much they're actually giving to charity, it doesn't seem as much of a charitable sort of
The
thing.
default split is kind of like everybody gets an equal slice.
The default, I mean.
There's always more developers and charities, but you can adjust it. I mean, so you can adjust it, and you can be a dick. You can be like, hey, you know what? You're not getting any money. Haha. I did that. You're not getting my 83 cents after I split my $5 across everyone and gave a humble tip. Actually, I don't know if I gave a humble tip or not. I don't remember if I left that checked or not on there. So now that I think about it, like I should have can I tip them a penny? Can I do that? Would they even see that?
Don't
encourage that behavior.
Don't do that. No,
don't do
wrong.
that. Can I put the tip in my drink? Can I put the dollars and the coins at the bottom of my cup?
I'm just gonna throw this out here. You can do whatever you want on the Humble Bundle. You aren't changing anything. You are basically paying to get a feeling of control and a feeling of revenge.
Yes.
You have not changed the system.
No.
You simply
but
melded
why
yourself
make the
into
money
it.
if you can't enjoy spending it?
I guess that's I don't know. That's a call you have to make.
This is bizarre. If you buy Modern Warfare 3 early, and you take your legit pre-ordered, bought early copy that you got, which I guess they are going out early or something like that, and you pop it into your Xbox 360 and you jump on Xbox 360 Live, and try to play it online, Microsoft is basically saying that there could be repercussions to your account. They didn't say out-and-out ban, so apparently in the past... this has been fine. You buy a legit copy, you get on a little bit early, servers are up, go play it, you're fine. And so somebody asked a Microsoft representative, blah, 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 like, is Modern Warfare 3 going to work that way? And they're like, oh, yeah, they all work that way. And then you had to basically, I got to redact what I said. Activision contacted us and no, it will not work that way. And we want to let everybody know that there will be repercussions if you try to play it online. So it's an interesting thing at the moment. It's just some weird phrasing. People are going to get it.
Flag you to watch you. Or
People
something?
don't read the internet, so they're going to pop their game in. They're going to try to play it online because they just got their brand new game. It would be fucking hilarious if Microsoft bans people who bought legit copies of the game.
Timmy's mom got a copy of the game early. Timmy started playing it because Timmy doesn't go on the online forums. Timmy is now banned.
Yeah, explain to Timmy why he's banned from... by the way, Timmy is the foul-mouthed 12-year-old in the game on the thing. That's what.
Good riddance!
Yeah, so maybe we're up ahead there.
Timmy complains to Mom. Mom complains to Microsoft.
Timmy has learned a valuable life lesson. If you complain enough, you can get what you want.
Speaking of rants, Jonathan Fluke had one this week.
Rebel.
Jonathan Fluke on Gama Sutra posted Xbox Live Indie Games and taking ownership of your own successes and failures. And I love this damn post. I truly, through and through, love this post. And, you know, there's a degree we don't see. You know, you probably, you have to kind of look out or take notice of, unless you're Silver Dollar Games, you just know because it's life. But there's a lot of blame put at their feet for the service. There's a lot of people that say the service sucks because you guys put out crap.
Well, we have said before that, you know, like, there is so much crap on the service that it would probably be better if some of it were gone. But
well, we kind of talked about that. I think what I said earlier was that when you go and you look at their entire catalog, which now you can do in all their games because they have their thing, but when you look at their entire catalog and you see all the accounts they publish games under, you realize, like, the 80-20 rule, you know, the 1% or the 99%, whatever you want to look at it. Like, if you just pulled them, a lot of what people call crap games would disappear with just Silver Dollar Games.
Right.
Like, the majority of that does come from one source. However,
that doesn't mean
their games are actually higher quality even when they're junk games. I mean, so...
Yeah.
He put a lot of effort into it.
There's there's effort put into it. I can't say there's a lot of effort put into it. There's effort put into it.
And the games themselves do not... That is not what is wrong with the service. There are fundamental things wrong with the service.
And he points out, not so much the fundamental things wrong with the service, he actually takes the tact of pointing out the financially successful games, that some of them, not the Fortress Crafts, but some of the more run-of-the-mill titles that have done quite well, that have pushed out numbers. I mean, $1 zombie game, you know? So there's new games doing well on the service. And the whole, you know, we're taking up a slot from someone else crap myth of, like, there's 50 slots in that list. You know, and there's top-rated lists and top download lists, which are more metric-based lists. Now, these aren't run perfectly, and there's a lot of issues with them, which we've talked about in the past. But those are Microsoft's issues. Those are not Silver Dollar Games issues. And Silver Dollar Games is not influencing those lists.
No. And...
And the Jump Hero was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the game this week, and it was good.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, as long as your game has a certain level of competence, which is on you, the developer, you know, there are a number of kind of random... more or less random factors that will influence, you know, your game. You know, does it get picked up by a big news site? Is it, you know, is it released in a week with a lot of other games? What are the quality of
Well, and
games?
you know what's kind of fucked up is almost no game developers, almost none of them, are taking advantage of setting their publication date.
Right.
Of saying, like, they're just all going auto-publish through the system, get it up there immediately. Even to, like, just... It really showed me when the dashboard had problems last week, how many games were going in without changing that flag. To at least go through, hit the forums, are there any issues, anybody reporting, everything looks good, I can download and play okay, I'm going to publish now, because I made sure the system is working. But just to sit on your game for 2 weeks is not the end of the world to try to drum up some press release for your game. Yeah. To send to news sites your trailer videos, your marketing material, and say at the top of it, game release August blah. Game will be released November 23rd. We're coming out November 23rd. You can write about the game ahead of time. Because I can tell you, the major press sites don't like writing about games that have already been out without some extra sauce in it. They like covering games before they're out because that's what the readership likes. They like being able to tell their readership things. Yeah. Nobody's taking advantage of that. That really pisses me off.
And I think, well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is you are responsible for your own game release. Or you're responsible for your own game success. There are another number of other random factors that will, you know, catapult you or sink you outside of that, outside of basic competence, but you can't narrow those down to one thing. It's not the other developers on the system. It's not always just Microsoft. It's not always...
But we do have several successes on the
Right.
service at varying levels. You're not, again, don't count on retiring money,
Right.
but several things that are quite well. We have several more successes of getting started in Xbox Live indie games, leading to bigger contracts and marketplaces elsewhere. Luke is reporting that he's doing very well in iPad sales on his Radiant games, his Super Crossfire 2. I think I saw him post that a couple weeks back or something. So that's going really well. So there's a lot of those style of successes too, that at this point, Jonathan's point, take ownership. If your game failed, you failed. Not mystical, magical unicorn forces conspiring against you in a dark cabal, because somebody at Microsoft hates you. Yeah. And he even pointed out, like, there's been several games hit a list freeze and been okay. Cthulhu Saves the World and Breath of Death both came out on list freezes. Both got screwed over. Breath of Death got screwed over when the list actually was much shorter and, you could actually, like, not hit the list and dug its way back out, and came back up. So, I mean, those are extreme cases, but there's still points of it's more on your game than anything else. Yeah. And it's more on your own marketing than anything else.
And of course, the flip side of that, too, is I want to say, I guess, that success isn't guaranteed. So pointing, like, you're better off going, okay, I need to do another game. I need to keep releasing games rather than I need to start blaming developers.
Success isn't guaranteed, but it is predictable.
It is predictable.
And you're going to have to learn these things. And you're going to have to learn through painful lessons. Yeah. You can read some books and you can open up, but until you've learned some things face on, but you can realize, like, okay, I got to do this and I got to do that. And, I have to make this experience better in the game to get people interested. And holy shit, art is important on my box art, or I got to have something that pulls people in. I got to have an eye catch. I got to have a gimmick. I got to have an idea. Something's going to catch attention. This works, like, I got to blog my game. I got to be out there. I got to be marketing it, and you're not guaranteed success, but you have a much higher degree of success if you do all these things as well. And the beauty part is that, you get up a high degree of success, and then game 1, game 2, game 3, one of these is going to hit, and it's going to hit really well for you.
Exactly.
And then, if you've been doing things well in the other games, kind of like Cthulhu goes out, Breath of Death gets a lift, And
that is actually one of the things that Silver Dollar Games does real well, is they just release a bunch of games, and so...
That is a very valid strategy of, hey, I'm coming out there, and you know what? I mean, to sit back...
If they were all the same game, then it would
They're the only ones on the service that I think are seriously sitting back and go, for $1, what is an Xbox Live indie game experience worth? And they're basically saying, like, for $1, what are we trying to do? Whereas most indie game developers are, forget the price. Price is irrelevant. I'm building my masterpiece,
Yes.
I am recreating this game of my youth, the arcade edition, not the Atari edition, by the way. I am recreating this game of my youth in all its spectacular glory. Prices, it should be $20, $30, but, I'm limited by the system. When in reality, it's like, dude, that game didn't sell for $20, $30 back then.
Yeah.
So redoing it now isn't going to do anything. So that's kind of there. Yeah, George dug up the link. But I'll have it in our show notes as well. It's a really good write up, and it's funny, the comments. Go read the comments too, because you read the guys of like, no, you're the devil, and I was robbed of my chance on the thing because you're trying not to fart game came out, and it's like,
to be fair, I think you can still hold, again, as we've said before about Silver Dollar Games, you can still hold philosophical disagreement about, the way they approach game design, and yet they can still be right about this. Like,
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing, because on, James Silva has a very good post of like, are you going to be the dastardly game developer who just makes a quick buck with massage controllers? Or are you going to be like the noble game developer? And then it's kind of like, well, are you setting up a false dichotomy in your argument here? You know, is Silver Dollar Games saying we're making games worth $1? It's in their freaking name. Being dastardly, you know, it's like they're dollar games on the service.
No, some of them make a lot of their games are questionable, but some of them are good. So, you know.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, to read attacks that they were talking about that they got on the Xbox To Go game, which was a lark, which was a joke. It was never released. The whole, like, call. Remember the one they got the video and they're carrying around the TV trying to flag down a taxi? Yeah. And, of course, we were kind of, like, mortified, like, are they actually releasing this on the Xbox? Or is this... Because, again, that's the problem with Silver Dollar Games. Like, are they fucking with us? The ones who comment on them. Are they like, you know what? The game is fucking with you now. You know, like, we don't know this.
Are they that guy?
Are they that guy? Are they self-aware?
The thing about that guy is that guy doesn't know he's being that guy. That guy will think other people are being that guy.
Yeah, but have they become self-aware and now they know what the jokes are and they're simply playing and trolling? We're being trolled, you know, at this point. Yeah. So, other news of note, there's a pretty good story I'll link in show notes. I'm not going to get into it now, but there's a pretty good summary on how the courier died, which led to who was it? Jay Allard, the Xbox designer, leaving the company. But basically, it boils down to they get this courier. They're ready to go about the time the iPad's launching, but it doesn't use Windows as its OS. And the Windows team, and Sinfosky is his name? Whoever the VP of the Windows team is at Microsoft, basically brought in Gates to, like, you know, hey, we've got our tablet. Our tablet's going to take like 3 years to get out, but it's going to use Windows. And these guys are going to, you know, gut our Windows sale. And that was the decision that Gates made before he left, to kill Courier and go with the Windows tablet. So there's some inside juice, but it really is just another angle, and the things I've said on the podcast before, of understanding the dysfunction at Microsoft and the combative nature of departments and why the departments don't work together well. Because you work together, all you've done is given them ammo when they go in at the senior meeting to kill your project in favor of their own. Hopefully that culture changes. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah, and I don't know. It may not be the worst thing that could happen, because when Courier was being developed, you said that was 3 years ago.
No. I think at the 3 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, they would have been ready. The article said they would have been ready to launch near the time of the iPad 1.
Yeah, I don't know if they were planning it to be like the iPad.
So I think it was a year ahead of the iPad 1.
Yeah, the iPad and Android tablets really tied app develop, you know, like tablets to mobile platforms, and kind of set the stage for app development. So I wonder what app development.
Well, the thing is that
like on
the Courier and Jay Allard's vision for that was content creation, not consumption. So the reason for the notebook thing is, like, I want you to write down ideas. I want you to sketch ideas. That's why there was still a stylus. That's why it was like, you know, the iPad, the tablet, is a consumption device mostly. You play games on it, you watch movies, you read web pages. It's not excelling at the moment as creation, although they're getting better at it. People are figuring out how to work with the interface and unlock new possibilities. So the Dev IDE app that I shared around is kind of novel in that you can, you know, get this IDE, but it's touch enhanced IDE, you know, which I thought was a really cool rethinking. So that's getting there. But, you know, at this time, 4 or 5 years ago now from this date, I guess, at this time, that it was just really consumption, and it was kind of the big iPhone, you know, coming out at you, the big iPod Touch. And so the Courier, you know, like, that was Jay Allard's vision of, like, no, we're going to go a different route with this. And I'll be honest, man, I wanted the fucking Courier. Like, I saw that thing and I was like, this looks awesome. You you know, I like the way it folds up. And they did say in the article that there were some issues with tech they were still working out, but they were pretty confident. Somebody in the team, didn't want to be named, said it was basically confident within a year, if we would have dedicated resources to it, all problems would have been solved. It was not in the unproven world land. It was in the no, we need to just solve these manufacturing issues and
Yeah.
come up with this, not that, and, you know, put a little piece of rubber here and that solves that problem and be done. So, I think that wraps up my news for this week.
Do we want to hit chat and before we hit new releases?
Not a whole lot in chat. I've been looking over. Basically, George was all behind preach on, brother. The Jonathan Fluke story. You know, the take responsibility for your game. Don't blame someone else.
Right. Everything else was divergent, I guess.
Yeah. So it's some links on that.
Goes.
And then a lot of Dance Central commentary of like whether or not George should practice up for Dance Central at the MVP Summit, something like that's going on. I don't know. Let's get into new releases of the week. Our first game up this week is War. WARR. War does change. It gets changed in spelling.
War.
This is straight up a Risk game.
Yep.
And there is something
wrong with
it's a modern Risk because it uses the concept of cards.
Yeah.
So you get cards to play. So if you played like Risk 3000 or
2100,
2100, whatever it is, yeah. Or I've got the Mech Warrior Risk, which is awesome because you got little mechs for your units instead of markers. But I mean, I still just like old school Risk. I got nothing against old school Risk. Old school Risk is damn fun. But there's something with the UI or the controls, because many times I like went to move a unit and I didn't want to move that unit and there's no cancel. It's like,
yeah,
you're going to attack somebody now, bitch. It's like, I don't want to attack somebody, and you weren't responsive to my trying to like select something or deselect something. And so I hit the button one too many times.
It's almost like you have to go off somewhere else and choose a function. Aside from a few UI issues, it wasn't a horrible... Like, if they cleaned up those issues, it wasn't a horrible Risk clone, but it's hard to tell in 8 minutes. And
it is hard to tell in 8 minutes, and it's really like, I want you to do something. Give me some variance. Do something interesting here. Even like a K-Dice, even like an online... where Risk is played with dice. If you've seen these sites, K-Dice is really popular.
I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, so basically you've got like a stack of dice for your units, and that's how many dice you virtually roll when you attack.
Right.
And then it's total versus total, and then, you know, you keep going on until one conquers the other. But you can play it very, very fast, and you can see where all the stacks are, and the speed of it really fits the computer, because you're playing it very fast, play multiple games at once, and a lot of people do.
The UI isn't like, I mean, they managed to cram the map all on one screen, and it's not horrible.
But didn't need that, you know?
It's still a board
like, you could have had a
game.
mini map up in the corner and then zoomed in on territories.
It's
You could have
not-
played in with, like, terrain options or something, you know? You could have given me boats. You know, something.
Yep.
Something.
Oh, like the 2100.
I need something to get my rocks off on Risk at this point.
Because you've played it enough.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
time limit.
Everybody needs a little something to get your rocks off. Moto Jump. I smashed my rocks on this game. I think virtual rocks were impacted.
Smash your bike.
Yeah. So you play a motorcycle, you jump and try to do tricks in air.
And you have to tilt back on the other stick, otherwise you just crash your bike.
Yeah, you gotta land. It's really touchy on the landing. You gotta kind of nail the landing just right for it to count. But this game is kind of broken in spots. So on like the first or second attempt, when I jumped the bike and it shattered and then it respawned me, like the bike respawned without the front wheel.
I actually got further than that, but that same thing happened. I got much further than that.
And then I restarted, and then I got past it again, like it wasn't a thing. But yeah, like something was off, and I couldn't like reconnect the wheel. And you can't like I tried for a little bit to try to like drive, like I thought like maybe I'm supposed to, like drive without a wheel now because I crashed so many times, and that's my punishment. But the bike just flips over backwards without the front wheel, like the physics engine.
I couldn't even get it to move.
Yeah. Our next one, Avatar Chess. You can play chess with avatars on the board. You can't spin around and look at them. So if the whole point of the game is to look at the pieces, which for some reason, all of my avatar pieces except me were women. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I wonder if it's just like the randomly generated avatar.
Yeah, I don't know.
Think you get...
So, and like one of them was in like a tank top. Like my pawns were tank topped. And
All of my pieces were regular pieces except for me.
Oh, well, you could hit a button and change the mode. So you could be all regular pieces, you could be 2D board, you could be just you as the king, or you could be all avatars.
Not a bad...
And that was on screen. That was like text there at you on screen all the time.
Didn't see it. I'm looking for it.
The X button, I think, or something you pressed.
It wasn't a bad chess game, but like War, it's kind of like... I don't know.
I couldn't even look around. That was the thing. It's like the whole gimmick to your chess game is I'm going to put in avatars as the pieces. Let me look around at the board. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me, zoom up close. But there was no kind of like battle chess. Like the avatars didn't even walk, to their position or anything. They just kind of popped from one to the other. So, yeah, this wasn't... And I don't know, like, what you could ramp the algorithm up if it would offer a good match or something. But it seems like there's enough online chess variants now that there's no reading for that reason, just to grab this. Our next one up is that Japanese game that came out this week.
Something about a cat.
What's that?
Something about a
cat. It's a story game, and there's a bug on my Xbox Indies where the translator broke or something, so it didn't translate this game. I got to figure out what's going on with that, but it's a story game, and these have been out before. But it has a really interesting, the reason, and we did video of this, and the reason we did is it has a pretty interesting way of doing some 3D billboards, and giving some 3D effects to a 2D screen that way.
And still maintaining this kind of hand-drawn feel.
Yeah. So it's got some good art design. I have no idea if the story's any good. The story I made up seemed pretty good. Because the developer, is a Japanese honey badger and does not give a shit about translating his game for you. You can read his game in Japanese because he does not give a shit. But he will fully release his game in the English market without translating.
Doesn't care anymore.
You don't like it, you can get out of his country.
Exactly.
You're gonna speak his language.
Learn to speak his language if you download his game.
Japanese, bitches.
So, next game up we did video of, it is the Silver Dollar Games this week, Sins of the Flesh. Now, we did video of this. This is another, Office Affairs. This is another, Fatal Seduction. It's a story-driven, single-mechanic game. So, where Office Affairs was just basically float back and forth, dodge things. Fatal Seduction was more of a very easy platformer.
It wasn't even a platformer.
No, it was...
okay.
Yeah, I guess you can say it was a platformer. It's just a scrolling... There's no platforms in this platform. Yeah. But other than that, this one is kind of a dual-stick shooter. But, very big props to originality here, because I have not seen this anywhere done before. Instead of moving the player around with one thumbstick and shooting with the other, you shoot with both thumbsticks. One shoots a white gun, the other shoots a black gun. The black gun has to hit the black creatures, the white gun has to hit the white creatures. And then it's the forced runner, forced scroller aspect where the game is moving you along. When the creatures get close, they grab you and try to pull you off.
It's almost quick time events over a true, life system, which, not a bad thing. It means you kind of have to adapt your thinking to that. Instead of just firing at every swarm.
The story seems interesting, although I don't know how many more of those will be interesting to me because we play them all. Somebody that picks it up, it's, wow, this is crazy new. This is like me reading Seth Godin books. I've read so many of them now. Anything he says, I'm like, yeah, you said that in this book already. So playing through Office Affairs and Fatal Seduction, I'm kind of like, yeah, you're gonna twist this, and it's like, oh, the girl is actually the demon, or something at the end.
I I have a hard time trusting Silver Dollar Games on that. Like, you know, because when we first picked up Office Affairs, the trial of it was kind of like, is there a story here? Is this actually a good game?
You are quite tight with your dollar, with your 100 pennies. Don't want to waste...
It's more of a time thing for me.
Want to waste 100 pennies, a dollar, less than the cost of supersizing.
It's the time thing. I don't know. It's the effort. It's the... I don't know.
Generally, the games don't run that long. Generally, they might have 20 minutes, 15 minutes in them total, and then you've heard the story, and then you're not going to play it. But for your dollar, some of them are worth your dollar. You know, they're worth $1. We did do video on that one. Next one up is Moon Miner, and it's like a weird dig dug.
It's
like a resource-based dig dug. Like you...
It's kind of another miner dig deep game.
You mine, yeah, you mine for gems, but it's more simplistic than miner dig deep.
Oh yeah.
But you do have to go back to the surface and like recharge and sell and buy. Very often. And I didn't really like. I'm collecting different minerals, but I didn't see anything like that mattered. Like they wasn't like, oh, these minerals can be combined and unlock this or anything. No, didn't run into any creatures. Didn't see anything. But dig, get a bunch of minerals. If you're running out of gas, go back.
It becomes really difficult too because you can't drill up, so
you've got to be careful.
You can box yourself, or I won't even say box yourself in. You can box other minerals out just by how you dig. Really, again, I would grab Miner Dig Deep if that's
what you wanted. Yeah,
there's another game like this last week and kind of had the same.
Our next one up, we did some video of. It is World Wars 2.
Not World War II.
Not World War II.
Wars 2.
World Wars 2. We go into this elaborately on the video, so maybe we'll save something for that on the video, describing it. But this is a throwback combat simulator, very close to Close Combat. If you played any of the Microsoft Close Combat series, which I think started in the mid-90s, like 96, 97, I want to say, is when the first Close Combat came out. And really, it was a shift in the war game genre, because before that there was a lot of Panzer General and hexagonal based maps that you moved pieces across.
Turn-based strategy.
Turn-based strategy. Close Combat made it real time. They also gave you control over individual units. And then, of course, the big thing in Close Combat was the individual unit AI, which I did not see the individual unit AI present here. You seem to have to control everything.
And that's what frustrates me about the game. It's just too much to micromanage.
It's not necessarily, I think, too much to micromanage, because some people may appeal to that. The controls are fucking shit. There's no nice way to say it. And, you know, the entire video that we did on this, you just see us, like, trying to get the damn thing to go where we want it to go. Trying to control the units in there.
Trying not to run over other units.
Trying not to run over our own units. Trying to command them.
Bridges.
Yeah, not to ride off the bridge. If the thing gets fixed, if the controls get fixed, then I think it could be a very good game, even without the AI that Close Combat had. Close Combat had an AI, basically, that troops given orders may decide to not follow them. They may get shell-shocked and run off screen. They may go berserk and charge the enemy, you know, and that's based upon, like, their connection to the command in the battle. So if you tried to send a guy up by himself, he was very likely to snap. And that was kind of the limitation on, like, yeah, you just can't exploit this game, because if you try to run a powerful unit up the middle, he's going to snap. He's going to freak out. So you can't really do that. You have to think more in terms of war strategy.
Yeah, I think this game, too, it's very command-based. Like, and I know we had problems with this because I think I ran over your commander at one point.
You did.
But it seems like you have to have that commander there to order around the privates. But if the commander isn't there, you are screwed.
Exactly. If the captain dies first, which is you,
have fun sending those soldiers to die one at a time.
Exactly. Next game up is
Goes from
Starbeam,
World War II to Vietnam.
and Starbeam is pretty much straight up Defender, down to the map at the bottom of the screen, except they don't have the units to pick up. Like on Defender, you had the little guys to rescue and set back down on the ground. You don't have guys to rescue and set back down on the ground in this. So, and it moves very, very slow. The pace is very, very slow compared to Defender.
I think what bothered me about it was when you switch directions, it totally reorients the screen, so there's no...
That's something Defender did.
Okay, so, again...
But Defender did it in a much quicker way, where it felt like crazy fast spaceship maneuver, and this just felt like a weird, slow, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. It was kind of disorienting.
It was. I played it for quite a bit. You know, Atari Defender, dug it, loved it, but this, it like left out, like, it's so close to Defender, when it leaves some things out, they become more noticeable than the things it had left in, you know, that they did do. So, next up, Moe Mercury 2.5.
On an interesting Japanese note, I think I figured out what it says.
What does it say? This is the Japanese game released this week, not the Moe Japanese game.
That Moe is like Uraroji no Sutene.
Yeah, whatever. What's it about?
It's about a back alley stray cat.
Okay. So we were playing around on there, and you were doing some translate. I guess we were kind of close. The Moe Mercury 2.5. Now, I'm not clear on this. There's some weird, don't quite understand it, Japanese language barriers going on. Moe Mercury 2, the Mercurying, is gone from the service. Under what pretense is unknown.
Wouldn't necessarily say pretense. Under what
Conditions? Under why it was pulled? Pulled by the developer? Pulled because it was very close to child porn? You know, like, why was it pulled is kind of weird. Not clear on why it's gone. It does seem weird that Microsoft would allow a developer to pull a game that violated the rules and then release a new game and get a second crack at the new releases list. It seems like they would say, like, pull your game, fix the issues, and put it back up. If they were going to be like, hey, we're going to be nice, we're not going to ban you or anything, to do that.
To be fair, I think it did add a new mode.
There are, I don't know if it's a new mode.
New content.
It looks like there are some new puzzles added.
Okay,
I didn't buy this game to play it yet. I probably will, just to, you know, I've completed them all. So why fuck up my record? I gotta get my S rank. I gotta keep my S rank on underage boobs. That's the thing. And I'm already committed, man.
Keep digging. Keep digging.
I'm pot committed at this point. Like the sunk costs in my Moe Mercury are so great, I can't walk away. I'm going to be playing...
You're not supposed to consider sunk costs.
Yeah, but the mental weight of those sunk costs...
Well, I know, but, you know...
And the mental picture of getting those sunk costs. Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do. But I'm in, man. I can't go. I got to go all in.
I'm using my business degree to try to explain why you should...
Oh, yeah, no, I totally get the fallacy of sunk costs. It's almost just as bad as the gambler's fallacy of you know, something's due. You know, like a random number is due to come up next. Yeah, and it looks like they added some kind of help tutorial playing the game. Like, it kind of gives you a hint after a second. It might just be the easy levels, but they kind of give you like, hey, you flip this tile. And that. But yeah, so Moe Mercury's back. We did not do video of it because it's not really a significant update in that respect. It's the same basic mechanics.
A problem, and it is a problem?
No, it's not a significant change. He didn't change the puzzle, he just added a couple more, it looks like.
Oh.
Next one up, we did video of. It is Scapegoat. The goat attempting to escape.
Yes.
Get it? Scapegoat?
Goat
Scapegoat. Got it, yeah.
I got the pun.
It's not bad. It's a retro throwback puzzle game. it almost has a Prince of Persia, original Prince of Persia feel to it. Not really the fighting aspect, but kind of the art style and the designs, and going through like working the puzzles and the levers and things like that.
Yeah, and I really like the level design and the puzzle design, because they introduce a lot of concepts. They build you up to it slowly, and it's not mindless, but it's not painful. Early on, I think the difficulty curve is right.
Right.
I had a lot of fun with it.
As pointed out, David Voiles in the chat's pointed out there, don't forget the scapegoat and a mouse.
Right.
Actually, the scapegoat is saving sheep. I don't understand what's going on.
The goat is got a mouse because the mouse wants to get out too, and then the sheep are needing some help, like Dr. Wily or something.
Yeah, so you gotta go like rescue all the sheep before the sheep will like point you the way out. I would just kick the shit out of that one sheep and be like, you fucking tell me or you're dead, you know? Like, these are your choices,
I'm pretty
but
certain they're already dead.
maybe...
But this is not 24, so you can't do that.
No, this isn't 24, so that doesn't work. But, yeah, it looks pretty charming. It does look pretty charming. It does ramp in slow, but not so painfully slow like this is monotonous. Just slow in the terms of I don't really have to think about what I'm doing. But it does have plenty of room to ramp. Like, the pace it's going... It's going to get hard. It seems like it's going to get hard.
And even when it's simple, it's at least, I guess, when it's easy. When it's not difficult, it's still complex. Like you're doing a whole bunch of things on every screen, so they're not, just
correct,
like patronizing you.
Our next one up is DLC Quest, and this is a pretty cute game. So this is all busting the fourth wall, making cracks, making jokes type game. It starts off a little cheesy, but the writing does get better as you go in. And the whole game mechanic is you collect coins in-game, and then you go to the in-game store and buy DLC with your in-game coins, not real DLC, you're not buying real DLC with money, to actually unlock the game. Like, the game is so gimped, you can't jump, you have no music, you can't pause, you can't move to the left until you get to the first vendor and unlock the movement DLC pack so that you can jump and move to the left. So it's cute and the humor is pretty good.
Don't know how long it'll stay that way, but it starts out cute.
It does start out pretty well, and the in-jokes are pretty good. The Devil Song is our next one. This is a space shooter. Kind of a
3D arcade.
3D deathmatch space shooter.
3D arcade, I can't control both sticks at the same time. Blah.
Yeah, I think part of what the problem is it's free movement. So this is not your X-wing. This is not
correct.
That you're sort of dogfighting.
Do a barrel roll, Star Fox.
Yeah, you're doing like. They actually have pitch, yaw, and roll mapped to the two thumbsticks, along with throttle. So it gets a little tricky.
By the way, if you're ever bored, go to Google, type in "do a barrel roll," just see what happens.
I saw that.
Have you seen that? Okay. Next one up is Cat Saber. I seriously hope that this is a original game concept that the developer came up with, made, and then went, fuck, I'll ship it anyway.
Crap.
That it doesn't work. So, it's kind of a dual-stick shooter, except you have a beam that extends only so far out from your cat. But when the beam is out, you cannot rotate.
No, you can.
Not while the beam's extended. You can
Pretty
rotate.
Sure I did.
No, you can rotate and then shoot the beam. But you can't have the beam out and rotate at the same time.
I was spinning around with the beam. That's how I played the game most of the time.
That was not possible. I was trying to do that.
I swear that's what I did.
When I had the beam out, I could not rotate. When I had the beam out, like I couldn't do a windmill attack.
Because rotate was bound to the shoulder buttons. So...
Oh, maybe I never found that out because I was using the dual sticks and like that rotated me, so I assumed that was the way to rotate.
Oh, yeah. That I see what you're saying, because I think that may have rotated you at first, but I don't know. I don't remember it that well. But the mechanic basically was that you had this series of enemies and you'd call each up to you, which I don't. It kind of felt like it was trying to be kind of a Tetris type clone thing. Like here's your, here's the next.
Here's your cue.
enemy.
Here's the next piece. Yeah.
But I didn't really figure out what I was going for.
So I've never seen
score.
anything like this, and I hope that's true. I hope this is like not some weird game from the 80s that I missed, because I would hate to know that somebody did this in the 80s and it sucked ass, and then you came and cloned the game that sucked ass.
And slapped
This is
on
like a
cats and
developer.
lightsabers.
This is like the developer who decides, I'm going to clone E.T. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you clone the universally accepted worst game ever released, that they buried like cartridges in Mexico of? Why would you make that game again? Although now I'm tempted to make that game again, because I
played a lot of it.
I played a lot of it. I beat it. I thought it was kind of good. I was like 4 or 5. Like, I was not very old when I played that. So, next one up is Bub Block. And I didn't play any of this game, because this was a one, like, it looks like you get a bunch of people in, and you set blocks out and try to get people stuck in a block so a saw blade comes by and chops him, but no single player. And it did not look interesting enough that I wanted to like grab a couple people to check out. It was kind of simple graphics, and it's one of those games like you download and you see it's like 7 to 12 megs or something. And you're like, man, what kind of game's going to be in 12 megs?
And then you find out.
Yeah. Our last game. Oh my god, this is so broken. Jawsome.
Oh. This reminds me of the Mermaid Ball game. I don't know if
in
it's
the
the same
sense
developer.
of the broken controls, yes. Although
Well,
Mermaid Ball
your
had better
shark-
controls.
Yes, your shark makes a clinking noise as you hit walls, like he's a submarine.
Not only that, he clinks against the surface of the water.
Yeah, I think the
And
fundamental...
controlling him is insane. I got myself turned upside down. I'm really good at most of these first-person games. I told Cicely, like, I'm tempted to have a video made of just her trying to play this game. But then I figured, like, it was that bad for me. Yeah, that was that bad for me, so that would just be cruel.
Fundamentally, I mean,
Everyone.
it's a game where you swim around and you collect pickup items. I don't even know if you were timed. The fundamental problem is it's kind of like... It looks like someone's first 3D game. I mean, it doesn't... I mean, it's definitely rough models, rough
And the shark's going
level
around eating
design.
cans of tuna. What the hell?
Exactly, but
Shark food.
the problem is, and the problem with that, like that mermaid game I was referring to as well, is they're trying to do, you're kind of in this maze, and you're swimming, you've got full range of motion, 360 degrees, all however many directions you want to count them, 3 axes. But they don't have that refined.
Yeah,
to the point that it's fun.
They implemented
It's just
the
like-
full 6 degrees of control.
You can move
Because
a
you
camera.
have the three axes, and then you also have rotating around the 3 axes that you can do. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you mastered that. Guess what? That makes some crappy ass controls.
Yeah, you have to evolve beyond just moving a camera to...
Yeah, which is what this is basically. It's the shark, it's the camera, and you're moving it with the very, very developer focused controls that I would only have in like a debug with like no clip on or something to use it. So yeah, it's horribly broke. It's
good first... As a first attempt, it's a proof that, you can do it,
Smiler 2 pointed out like an idea for control a giant tuna and eat Japanese people in the water. Actually, being able to get to eat some people, like I looked around for like a diver or something. Like, is there something more to this? Because there's a wrecked ship, and I was looking for divers that I wanted to eat. And then I was like, I don't have any divers. I'm out. I'm done.
If you're a shark game and your name contains Jaws...
Yes, exactly. So that wraps up our new releases for the week. Game of the week. I think my favorite right off the cuff, I think off the list is DLC Quest. I think that's my favorite of the week.
Mine would probably be Scapegoat or DLC Quest.
Yeah, DLC Quest was the one that engaged me the most.
I mean, I liked the humor. Not to say that we didn't have, several good gameplay games this week. I think we did. So this is a better, it's one of the better weeks. We're doing good this week. This is one of our better weeks. We're doing good.
Yes.
We have our bad weeks. We're taking the pills, though. We're trying to even out.
Going to the meetings.
So DLC Quest all around seemed to be the common deal on that. Yep. All right. So DLC Quest. Congratulations for Going Loud Studios. There you are. GameMarx Game of the Week. Any news to wrap up on before we get out? Anything going on? Trips coming up? Anybody?
Nope.
No, we're kind of all settled in. Holidays are gonna kick in.
Parties.
Yeah, we may get spotty on some podcasts. We may just skip some weeks.
Birthday day of the baby.
Yeah, but we'll still attempt to play all games of the week so that we could do a Game of the Year podcast and actually have a discussion going through them all.
Sounds like it would probably be a whole podcast unto itself.
Yeah, it might be multiple podcasts. It might be breaking it up into, we're going to do personal top 10 lists on one show and then come up with the GameMarx top 10 list on the next show.
We will talk until everything is covered, everything is done.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be all games enter, one game leaves. I don't know.
A certain number of games leave.
A certain number of games leave in a specific order.
There will be, a
specific order.
There will be games that leave and they will be good and you will want to play them.
Yeah, that's it. So I guess till next week, occupy Xbox Live Indie Games. That's the orders for the week. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the live show. We will be back in a week.